You know that that specific feeling in your chest when you're on a really serious roller coaster?
Oh, yeah. The anticipation.
Right, but I'm not talking about the drop itself. The drop is just pure adrenaline. I mean that click 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 of the chain lift. You're inching up this impossibly steep hill. The gears are just grinding underneath you, and you look down and see the entire park laid out below.
Everyone looks like tiny ants.
Exactly. It's so quiet up there. You feel like a god just looking down at the world. You are, for this fleeting, terrifying moment, gliding over all of it. And then, well, gravity remembers you exist.
That is, honestly, it's the perfect metaphor.
Mhm.
That is exactly the sensation we are dealing with today. We aren't just talking about a television show here. We are dissecting the precise moment of apex in this universe, that split second of weightlessness right before the screaming starts.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are opening the file on gliding over all. This is the mid-season finale of Season 5, the 8th episode. It aired back on September 2, 2012. And if you were watching live, you probably remember the sound of your own jaw hitting the floor in those final seconds.
It is a massive, pivotal piece of television history. And honestly, it's a really difficult thing to watch in some ways because it's so cold. Our mission today is to figure out why this specific 47 minutes works the way it does. We're going to look at the ruthless consolidation of power, the transition from a desperate cook to a legitimate kingpin.
Yeah, and we're going to dig into the production notes regarding that famous pile of money. And, I mean, we are going to get into the actual physics of that money. We have this fascinating debate between the creator and the prop master about whether that much cash is even physically possible to accumulate in that time frame.
And we're going to break down the irony. The central irony of the entire story really culminates right here. You have a criminal mastermind who uses high-tech surveillance, complex chemistry, international logistics, and yet
He's undone by a bathroom book.
exactly. He is ultimately undone by something as analog as a book of poetry in a bathroom.
It's the ultimate pivot point. We've got plot summaries, we have critical reception data from 2012, and some very specific production notes on the callbacks hidden in the background that you definitely missed on the first watch. So, let's get into the weeds.
Let's do it.
We have to start with the cleanup. It doesn't start with a bang, it starts with a hum. We're at Vimona's Pest, and immediately the narrative is forcing you to remember where we started. We see Walter White and Todd Alquist disposing of Mike Ehrmantraut's body. They're using the hydrofluoric acid barrel method.
Which is a massive callback to the second ever episode, Cats in the Bag.
Yeah.
But the vibe here is completely different. Think back to that first season. Jesse and Walt were panicking. They didn't know which plastic to use. The bathtub literally fell through the ceiling. It was visceral, grotesque, and totally amateur. It was a trauma.
Right. In the beginning, the disposal of a body was the moment he realized he was in hell. He was retching. He was crying.
Yeah.
Here, it's just a chore. It's a Tuesday.
The direction here really emphasizes the mechanical nature of it all.
Yeah.
They are breaking down the body of a man who is essentially the third lead, a character the audience really loved, and they are treating him like hazardous waste. They are checking their watches. They are just rolling barrels.
It's so sanitized. And then Jesse walks in. This interaction really struck me in the source notes. Jesse's the only one acting like a human being in this room. He's rattled. He asks, "Did you do it?" And notice the language used in response. He doesn't say, "I killed him." He doesn't say, "Mike is dead."
He says he's gone.
Gone. It's such a soft word. It's a very soft word for a bullet to the stomach.
It's a politician's word. It is entirely passive voice. It removes the agency. If Muck is gone, it sounds like he moved to Florida or retired to a golf course. It doesn't sound like he was murdered by a river. This is really the first clear indicator in this specific deep dive of his psychological state. He has completely compartmentalized the violence. He has separated the physical act from the reality of it.
And the dynamic between them has shifted so much. Jesse isn't just asking about Mike as a friend. He brings up a legitimate business problem. Mike had 9 guys in prison. They were being paid hazard pay to keep their mouths shut about the operation. No Mike means no payments. No payments means they talk. Jesse is spiraling, asking, how do we handle this?
And look at the reaction. He doesn't panic. In previous seasons, this would have been a sky is falling moment. He would be in his underwear in the living room, hyperventilating, asking Jesse what to do. Here, he's just dismissive. He tells Jesse, effectively, you're out. I'll handle it.
It feels exactly like a corporate firing. It feels like he's laying off a mid-level employee.
That's because he is. He is the CEO now. Jesse is the redundancy. He dismisses him not to protect him, but because Jesse's conscience is a massive liability. He has a solution in mind that he knows Jesse absolutely won't stomach. He doesn't want the argument. He just wants the execution.
Which brings us to the cafe scene. The meeting with Lydia Rodarte-Quayle. Now, Lydia is a character who usually vibrates with anxiety. She's always frantic. But here, she's sitting across the table, and the tension is different. It's not just anxiety, it's terror. It's the tension of a prey animal sitting right across from a predator.
She knows what happened to Mike.
Yeah.
She is not stupid. She knows that house is being cleaned. When he asks for the list of the 9 prisoners, she knows that list is her death warrant. She understands the transaction perfectly. Once she hands over that piece of paper, she has absolutely zero value. And in this new world order, things without value are discarded.
So she pivots, and this is where the empire aspect really kicks in. She appeals to the one thing she knows he loves more than power, which is expansion.
She pitches the Czech Republic.
Which seems so random at first glance. Why the Czech Republic? Why not Mexico or Canada?
It's actually a brilliant piece of world building based on real drug trade logistics. Lydia explains that the domestic market is stable, maybe even a bit saturated, but the Czech Republic has a remarkably high percentage of meth users. Historically, this is actually true. Pervitin, which was a methamphetamine brand, was huge in that region during the 20th century. It's a massive, untapped market for a high-purity product like the Blue Sky.
She's offering him a global franchise, and you can see his eyes light up. He's not just a local kingpin anymore. He's an international, distinct brand. He's Coca-Cola.
Precisely. And that appeals to his ego in a way nothing else could. But here's the detail from the production notes that genuinely gave me chills. The hat.
The hat on the table?
We've seen that pork pie hat a million times. It's a symbol.
Yeah.
But in this scene, it's a hiding spot. After Lydia leaves, having successfully pitched the check deal and saved her own life, he picks up the hat. And what is underneath it?
The vial of ricin.
The ricin. He had it ready.
That is the blink and you'll miss it horror of this scene. He didn't go to that coffee shop to negotiate. He went there to execute her. In a public place.
If she hadn't come up with that check distribution scheme in that exact moment, she would have been dead within 24 hours. He would have slipped it right into her stevia. It really underscores how far he's fallen. Murder isn't a last resort anymore. It's his opening move. It's just a tool in the toolbox, as mundane as a wrench.
And speaking of murder as a business strategy, we have to talk about the prison hits.
This sequence, this is arguably the darkest point of his entire career. He has the list now. He takes it to Uncle Jack and the Aryan Brotherhood.
This is a significant downgrade in the quality of his associates, isn't it? He went from Gus Fring, who was this buttoned-up, terrifyingly polite businessman, a real pillar of the community, to Jack Welker, who is, well, he's a Nazi thug.
It shows his desperation, or perhaps just his complete apathy. He doesn't care about the ideology or the optics anymore. He just needs a blunt instrument. He tells Jack he wants all 10 men, the 9 prisoners, plus their lawyer, Dan Waxberger, taken out.
And the logistical demand is insane. He wants them all killed within a 2-minute window, across 3 different prisons. Even Uncle Jack, who literally kills people for a living, says, that's hard. That's really hard. He tries to explain the sheer complexity of it.
And this is the line that defines this era of the character. He looks at Jack and says, figure it out.
Figure it out.
It's pure arrogance. It's the manager who sets an impossible deadline and leaves the engineers to suffer. He takes absolutely no responsibility for the how, only the result. He's buying a service, and he expects delivery.
And the result is brutal. The montage that follows is set to this upbeat music, but the imagery is horrific. Stabbings, burnings, beatings. The source notes say this entire montage takes less than 2 minutes of screen time.
Which perfectly matches the window of the murders. It's rhythmic, it's incredibly efficient, but the most important shot isn't the stabbings, it's what he is doing while this is happening.
He's at home, he's looking at a painting.
Right, and this is a deep cut for the superfans. The painting he's staring at, it shows a woman in a rowboat leaving a larger ship, is the exact same painting from the Season 2 episode Bit by a Deadbeat.
Oh, wow, I totally missed that on the rewatch. What is the significance of that specific painting? Why bring it back now?
Context is everything here. In Season 2, he was in the hospital. He was faking a fugue state to explain why he had been missing, when he was actually kidnapped by Tuco. He was staring at that painting feeling trapped, powerless, and terrified. He was lying to his family just to survive another day.
And now?
Now he's standing in his own living room, holding a glass of something nice, staring at the exact same painting while he orchestrates the simultaneous murder of 10 people. He's looking at the same image, but the man looking at it is completely transformed. He's no longer the victim in the boat, he's the storm. Really measures the distance he has traveled.
From a desperate man in a hospital gown to a kingpin ordering a massacre from the comfort of his home.
Exactly. And the massacre is completely successful. The lawyer is killed, the 9 henchmen are killed, the threat of exposure from Mike's crew is neutralized.
And with the threat gone, the business just explodes.
This is where we enter the Empire business phase of our outline.
We get another montage, this time set to Crystal Blue Persuasion by Tommy James and the Shondells, which, can I just say, is a perfect music choice.
It is iconic, but it's also deceptive. The song is dreamy, almost psychedelic. It's about peace and love and higher consciousness. Look over yonder, what do you see? The sun is arising, most definitely.
But on screen, we are seeing the industrial-scale manufacturing of a deadly narcotic. We see the vats, the blue crystals, the shipping crates.
It suggests a smooth, easy ride. And the source notes highlight the passage of time here. This is crucial. The script indicates the next few months passed during this song.
That time jump is huge. We often think of this story as happening over a very compressed timeline. The whole narrative is only about 2 years of his life. But here, months pass in a blink.
The empire runs uninhibited. The product flows to the Czech Republic. The logistics are incredibly smooth. Lydia is handling distribution. Todd is cooking. It is a well-oiled machine. There are no cartels attacking, no DEA raids, no family drama. It is boring, highly profitable success.
And the money, oh my God, the money, it's just rolling in.
Billions of dollars.
Which leads to the scene that I think absolutely everyone remembers from this deep dive, the storage unit.
Skyler brings him to the storage unit to show him the reality of his success.
She pulls back that tarp, and there it is, a pile of money. The source notes estimate it to be roughly 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, and 2 feet deep.
It is a physical manifestation of too much. It looks like a solid block of masonry, but made entirely of cash.
Skyler admits she can't launder it anymore. It's too much for the car wash. She can't weigh it. She can't count it. She says, I stopped counting. I just weighed it.
It's fascinating. Skyler reaches a breaking point, not because of immediate physical danger, but because of logistics. The sheer volume of cash has become a burden she simply cannot manage. It's no longer an asset, it's a storage problem.
Now here is where it gets really interesting, and this is why I love digging into these sources. There's a production fact in the notes about a debate regarding exactly how much money was actually in that pile.
Yes, this is a fantastic detail. In the later episode Ozymandias, it's claimed the pile was $80 million.
$80 million. That is a staggering amount of cash.
However, Vince Gilligan actually expressed doubts about this figure in a podcast later on.
Really? So the creator himself didn't think it was that much?
Well, he asked the prop master, Mark Hansen. He said, is this realistic? Does that physical pile look like 80 million? Hansen and his team actually did the math. They calculated the volume of the bills. They figured if it was a mix of 20s, 50s, and 100s, the volume shown on screen would indeed be somewhere in the vicinity of $80 to $90 million.
Okay, so the math works out for the volume.
The math of the physical pile works perfectly. But Gilligan admitted they might have, and I quote from the source here, erred on the side of showmanship regarding whether he could actually earn that much that quickly. Even with the check deal, netting $80 million in 3 months is incredibly optimistic.
Ah, I see. So the pile accurately represents 80 million, but the timeline might be a bit of a stretch, even for a high-tech operation.
Exactly. But visually, it serves its absolute purpose. It answers the question he has been asking himself since day one. How do I provide for my family? The answer is lying there under a tarp, and it is more than they could spend in 10 lifetimes. It's monstrous.
And that leads to Skyler's question, the question that finally breaks the spell. She asks him, how much is enough?
She wants her life back. She wants her children back. And she presents the pile not as a trophy, but as a dead end. She's asking for a metric. How big does the pile have to be before we can go back to being human beings?
And surprisingly, he listens. He eventually tells Skyler he is out.
If you compare this to the earlier situations, where he was struggling for pennies, negotiating with Tuco for a few $1,000s, frantically digging under the floorboards, the contrast is stark. He has climbed the mountain, he has the view, and now he decides to walk back down.
But you don't just walk away from this life, do you? You have to make amends. Or at least he thinks he does.
Section 3 of our outline covers these reconciliations and callbacks, and the first stop is Jesse.
He visits Jesse. And the vibe is, well, it's strange. Imagine being Jesse right now. Your former partner knocks on your door. The last time you saw him, he was talking about handling Mike's guys. You're terrified.
It's a very tense scene. Jesse has a gun concealed. We have to remember Jesse is genuinely terrified of him at this point. He thinks he is there to tie up another loose end, just like Mike's guys. He thinks he is about to be handled.
But he isn't there to kill him. He's there to pay him.
He leaves 2 bags on the porch. When Jesse unzips them, he finds cash.
It's the money Jesse was owed, plus maybe more.
It's the $5 million he was owed. It's a peace offering. Or perhaps a severance package. He's closing the book. He's paying his debts. But look at Jesse's reaction. He doesn't count it. He doesn't cheer.
He just slumps.
He slumps against the wall. His relief is palpable. Not because he's rich, but because he realizes he isn't going to die today. He throws the gun away. That's the real tragedy of Jesse's character here. His greatest victory is simply surviving his mentor.
And then the family reunites, the kids move back in. The source says the family seems to be in repair.
It does. On the surface, everything is returning to normal. But the production is very clever about reminding us of the past. The notes list several specific callbacks in this section that are designed to trigger our memory, to remind us that the rot is still very much there.
Oh, I love catching these. Let's run through them. First, the fly.
Right at the beginning of the runtime, we see a fly buzzing in the Vamonos pest office. This is a direct reference to the highly polarizing episode, Fly from Season 3.
Which was all about contamination and the obsession with control.
Exactly. Seeing it here suggests that the contamination is still present. Even if he thinks he's cleaning it all up, you can't just swat it away.
Then there's the paper towel dispenser.
In the restroom of the cancer clinic. He goes for a scan, and he sees the metal dispenser is damaged.
It's dented.
This is a reference to the episode 4 Days Out in Season 2. He punched it back then.
Why did he punch it again? Remind me.
Because he found out his cancer was in remission. Back then, that was actually bad news because he fully expected to die and leave the money, not live, and had to deal with the terrifying consequences of his crimes. Now he sees the dent, and it's a reminder of his own survival. A reminder that he is still here, for better or worse.
That is such a deep cut. I love that detail. And then the dialogue callbacks. Lydia says, "We're going to make a lot of money together."
Which directly echoes Tuco Salamanca from the Season 1 finale. It links the corporate, nervous Lydia to the erratic, violent Tuco. It's the exact same business, just a different dress code.
And he tells Lydia, learn to take yes for an answer.
Which is exactly what Mike told him in the bar in 38 Snub. He is now adopting the wisdom of the men he has killed.
That is fascinating. He's absorbing them. He wears the traits of his defeated enemies almost like trophies.
Precisely. Now, there's one more detail in this section from the notes that I find very interesting. A cut scene.
Oh, right. Peter Gould, one of the writers and producers, revealed this.
Apparently, there was a scene written where the doctor explicitly tells him his cancer is still in remission.
But they cut it out completely.
They cut it. They wanted to keep his health status entirely ambiguous for the audience.
Why do you think that is? What does that ambiguity add?
Well, think about it. If we know for sure he's healthy, his retirement feels safe. It feels calculated. By leaving it ambiguous, there's a lingering question. Is he quitting because he finally won? Or is he quitting because he feels the cancer coming back? Did he get bad news off screen? It adds a complex layer of uncertainty to his sudden contentment. It makes us wonder if he knows the clock is ticking again.
That makes total sense. So he is retired, the kids are home, money is hidden. We get to section 4 of our deep dive, the fall.
And it happens in the most mundane setting imaginable.
Lunch by the pool, the Schraders, Hank and Marie are over, everyone is eating, laughing, the sun is shining, it feels safe, it feels like the whole story could just end right here.
It is the domestic bliss he claimed he was fighting for from the very beginning. It's the ultimate American dream tableau.
And then nature calls. Hank has to use the bathroom.
And he needs reading material.
This is the moment, the absolute pivot point of the entire saga. He rummages around and finds a book hidden under some magazines.
Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman.
Now, you and I know this book. We've seen it before.
Yale Boeditor gave it to him. Gale, the brilliant chemist he replaced, and ultimately ordered Jesse to kill. Gale, who practically worshipped him.
Hank opens the book. He's literally just killing time on the toilet. And he sees the inscription.
To my other favorite, WW.
San Q, the flashback.
Hank immediately remembers the case file. The Gale Boeditor investigation. He remembers the notebook with the exact same handwriting. He remembers joking around about who WW could be. Woodrow Wilson, Willy Wonka, Walter White.
And in that moment, in the bathroom, staring at the handwriting, the realization just hits him.
The source notes point out that he matches the handwriting and the initials perfectly. It's undeniable.
The monster he has been chasing for a year is his own brother-in-law.
Vince Gilligan called this poetic justice from beyond the grave for Gale.
It really is. Gale, the gentle vegan chemist, brings down the massive drug lord from the afterlife.
And there's a profound tragic irony here for Hank, too. Earlier in the day, Hank was reminiscing about a summer job he had tagging trees. He said he wished he had a job where he didn't have to chase monsters anymore. He was so tired of the chase.
And then he goes to the bathroom and finds the monster.
Right, in his own family. Sitting at his patio table, under his nose the entire time. The betrayal is total.
The title of this section, Gliding Over All, is actually from that book, right?
It is. It's poem 271 in Leaves of Grass. The poem speaks of death and the soul gliding over all things, over life, over death, over the entire universe. It reads, gliding all, through nature, time, and space, as a ship on the waters advancing, the voyage of the soul, not life alone. Death, many deaths I'll sing.
Death, many deaths I'll sing. That is incredibly ominous.
It suggests a sense of finality, of seeing the whole picture. Just like the roller coaster view we talked about at the start, he thought he was gliding over everything, untouchable, above the law, above basic morality. But the poem reminds us that gliding inherently includes death. You can't glide forever. Eventually, you land. And usually, you land hard.
Wow. Just wow. It's such a powerful ending. Let's talk about how the world reacted to this. Section 5, Reception and Legacy.
The reviews were understandably glowing. This was a massive, culture-stopping cliffhanger.
Matt Richenthal from TV Fanatic gave it 4.8 out of 5 stars. He specifically noted the shock of seeing him find contentment.
That was the real twist. We all expected a shootout or a fiery disaster. We didn't expect him to just be happy. Richenthal wrote about the satisfaction over a job well done, an emperor who no longer needed an empire. We were lulled into a false sense of security, just like the characters.
And Alan Sepinwall from HitFix called it an absolutely gorgeous piece of work.
He praised it visually and narratively. It really set the stage for the final run of episodes. And remember, the audience had to wait a year or nearly a full year to see what happened next.
The ratings were solid, too. 2.78 million viewers.
Which, for cable television in 2012, was a very strong number. And crucially, the word of mouth from this specific cliffhanger is what caused the ratings to practically double when the show finally came back. Everyone spent that entire year telling their friends, you have to watch this. You won't believe how it ends.
And we absolutely have to mention the awards.
Kelly Dixon won the Emmy for single-camera picture editing.
Well deserved. That prison montage alone is a masterclass.
And the crystal blue persuasion montage. The editing was truly the heartbeat of this entire narrative. Michelle MacLaren was also nominated for directing, and Michael Slovis for cinematography.
It's a visual, stunning piece of work. The shadows, the framing of the money pile, the painting.
The Ringer ranked it the 13th best out of all 62, which places it firmly in the absolute top tier.
So, what does this all mean for us? We've gone from the sheer brutality of prison murders to the height of financial success, only to be completely undone by a book of poetry left in a bathroom.
It brings up that central question of enough. Skyler asked it directly, how much is enough? He thought he had found the answer. He thought he could just stop.
But the universe has a way of balancing the scales, doesn't it?
It really does. The final thought I want the listener to consider is this. Would he actually have stayed retired if Hank hadn't found that book?
That is the ultimate what if. Was the contentment real, or was it just another passing phase? Was he getting bored yet?
We'll never know for sure. I strongly suspect the boredom would have crept back in. He loved the game too much. But because the book was found, we get the collapse instead of the drift. The past is never truly gone. It's always there, gliding over all.
I want you, the listener, to go back and watch that final scene. Look at Hank's face. Look at the mixture of confusion, betrayal, and absolute horror. That is the exact moment the world changed.
It's the moment the gliding stopped and the fall began.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll see you next time.